Chelsea fans, welcome back to Talking Chelsea. Welcome back to your Chelsea news. Noni Madueke is officially an Arsenal player. Nicolas Jackson could be leaving Chelsea this summer, with AC Milan very interested. Chelsea offered Jadon Sancho a deal, and we now know the truth as to why he didn't stay. And Chelsea have also sold a player which they bought in January. Now, of course, I'll be giving my own thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported, but more importantly, I want to know what you guys think down below in the comments. And before we get into the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. We're on the road to 10k by the end of 2025. Kicking things off, L'Equipe have reported breaking news that Mathis Amougou will sign for Strasbourg on a permanent transfer. Can someone please tell me the point of this transfer in general? We signed Amougou in January. We've sold him in the summer window. We saw him play about 10 minutes for Chelsea. Now, admittedly, when we did sign him, Chelsea did come out immediately and say, look, he's only going to be there to build up experience and train with the first team, and he's going to go on loan to Strasbourg in the summer for more development. Fair enough. That made sense, kind of, right? With the way that the owners and the club are moving. But to sell him on a permanent to Strasbourg only 6 months later makes no sense to me. Unless from the inside, watching him train, they think, actually, no, do you know what? We don't want him at Chelsea. We don't think he's going to cut the mustard with the squad, growing and, gaining more experience as they are. Even if he goes on development, we don't think he's going to reach the heights and standards that we expect him to be at to play in Chelsea's first team squad. So we can just sell him to Strasbourg. He can develop there. And if, hey, look, Strasbourg might have an absolute gem of a player. That could potentially be what happened. No figures have been thrown around as of yet. Also, he is staying within the Blueco family of clubs. So, I don't know, maybe potentially in the future that Chelsea will buy him back from Strasbourg if he becomes like an absolute world-class player on his development journey in Strasbourg. But honestly, this really baffles me. This is almost Renato Vega-esque, except, no, it is very, well, without the loan. We bought him in January. A few months later, we're selling him permanently to one of our sister clubs. When the original plan was, look, he's just going to train around the first team, build up some experience, then we're going to loan him to Strasbourg and see how he gets on. But I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section regarding Amougou. Do you think Chelsea have made a decision internally that he's not going to be good enough for Chelsea? Does this transfer make sense to you to buy him in January and sell him on a permanent to us, even to a sister club in a 6-month period? Or do you think that it would have made more sense for Chelsea to loan him to Strasbourg and still see how he develops in the next season or two? Ben Jacobs on the United stand has reported that Chelsea went to Sancho and said, we are prepared to match our salary contribution we made on the loan deal to sign you permanently. This was around 180,000 to 200,000 a week, and Sancho rejected. This is wild, Now, again, I like Jadon Sancho. I feel like he did bring something different to the team, and a lot of fans were on his back for big spells of the season because he didn't perform to the standards we expected of him, right? However, he was a very different type of player, and he had very good spells of play. And I feel like when the team were playing well, Sancho played incredibly well. And the way he started in a Chelsea shirt was fantastic. He had like 4 or 5 assists in the same number of games. It was wild, right? And I would have quite happily kept Jadon Sancho. My only disagreement with it is to pay him what his current wages are at Man United, which I think is around £300,000, which is wild wages considering Chelsea have a new wage structure in place and we've been reducing wages. So I find it very interesting that Chelsea were like, do you know what? We've got an obligation to buy, but we like your performance this season. We are willing to match what we've been paying this season, part of the loan deal, which is, let's just say 190,000 a week because it's in the middle of the two figures, right? 190,000 a week. What do you think? And he's gone, nah, I'm all right. I'm actually all good. I'd rather go back to United where I'm already an outcast and want to leave anyway. Keep picking up my paycheck and then hopefully get a move. Which is a bold move, and I also respect it because he is currently on 300,000 a week, and it's over 100 grand a week, or potentially 100 grand or 120 grand a week less than what he was currently contracted. However, he would have been playing regularly like he was in this Chelsea side. We still currently only have one left winger, out-and-out left winger in Jamie Gittins. Noni Madueke, we're going to speak about him. He's officially an Arsenal player. I'm going to speak about him a bit more in the video and kind of break that down. But he's now left the club. We've got Esteval, Neto, Gittins. And then Tyreek George, who looks like he's going to go on loan, but 3 main wingers in rotation. He would have been perfect on that left-hand side. He can even play right if needed, but that would have been our rotation. I think he would have got a lot of game time, and I think he would have improved in that second season in Chelsea, understanding Maresca's system, and again, brings a different dynamic. However, hey, look, if you don't want to take a wage cut, it's well on him. I think he's made a very bold decision by sticking to his guns, sticking to his contract, going back to United, where, like I said, where he is an outcast, and he's relying on some club to come in and buy him out. But they also got to buy the contract out. And I don't know any club in the world that wants to buy Jadon Sancho right now and pay him $300,000 a week, other than Saudi. And if Jadon Sancho goes to Saudi, that is a real shame because he's a very talented player. Unless he goes and gets another loan move. But again, it's the loanees club are going to have to subsidise a lot of these wages. A club like Chelsea could, obviously happy to pay the 180 to 200,000 a week for that loan spell. But I don't know. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions down below regarding Jadon Sancho. Would you have kept him at Chelsea if he accepted, say, 200,000 a week? Or would you have just given him back regardless, even though we had the obligation and we paid the £5 million fine? The other thing that this does kind of highlight is the big money deals for people like Rodrigo or Osimhen or Gyökeres or all these big money moves and transfer fees and wages. This goes to show that we are more than capable of paying these wages for the right type of player. So Noni Madueke is no longer with us. He hasn't passed away. He's just gone to Arsenal. He's now moved to Arsenal. Rodrigo doesn't look like he's going to Arsenal at the moment. Talks seem to have stalled. So is there a potential that Chelsea go in for Rodrigo and offer the 200 grand a week, which he's currently on at Madrid? Big transfer. I think they want something like 80 million euros. 200 grand a week. Plays on the left. Makes sense to me. If Chelsea are willing to do that for someone like Sancho, I'm sure if the opportunity arises with Rodrigo, that could potentially be on the cards. Now, look, I don't want to take anyone down, lead them down a pipe dream, lead them down the garden path, as they say. I'm just thinking. I'm just on the hamster wheel and I'm thinking, well, if we're paying Sancho that sort of money, I think Chelsea would quite happily pay Rodrigo that type of money if that deal was on the cards. But that's just my opinion. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below regarding Rodrigo. Do you think that Rodrigo to Chelsea could potentially happen now knowing that this is what we offered Sancho and he turned it down? And obviously Madrid have basically confirmed that Rodrigo will be leaving in the summer. He's been left out of 5 games in a row now. Xabi Alonso's kind of covered up saying, it's more tactical decisions, etc., etc. when we know that he's off in the summer. But let me know your thoughts and opinions regarding Jadon Sancho in the comments and potentially Rodrigo to Chelsea if we are happy to pay the £200,000 a week. And late last night, Fabrizio Romano had reported an exclusive. Noni Madueke to Arsenal. Here we go. Fee agreed in excess of £50 million with add-ons included. Green light from Chelsea. Madueke already agreed a 5-year deal at Arsenal days ago, and now he's set to complete the move. The winger leaves Chelsea to join Arsenal. He then goes on to report that Chelsea and Arsenal talks for Madueke went very fast because of their great relationships between the clubs. Arsenal believe he has a lot of potential still. Arteta has been pushing for the player and spoke to him in recent days, even before the agreement. And Jacob Steinberg has reported that Noni Madueke has decided to seek a new challenge with his hopes of regular football at Chelsea limited by them adding Liam Delap, Jamie Gittins, Esteval and João Pedro to their attack. Giovanni Cuenda is due to join from Sporting Lisbon next year. Now, we said this yesterday. We spoke about Noni Madueke a lot over the last few days because this is basically, we've just been waiting for it to be ticked off of a here we go. And I said that in yesterday's video. It's a matter of hours. When personal terms are agreed with a player, 9 times out of 10, the deal goes through. And it's exactly what's happened here. Very interesting, though, that the talks went very quickly because we have a great relationship. Well, of course we do. Arsenal always come along and give Chelsea the bag when we want to offload players that we are not happy with. Now, this is the situation. I've said, my piece on Noni Madueke. I've been very happy to keep him. I think he's a good player. I think he still does have a lot of potential. However, when you're getting over £50 million for a player like Noni Madueke, I am more than happy with that. I am more than happy with that. We bought him for 29 million. We've sold him for over 50. I think the confirmed amount was 52.5 million pounds. Over 52 million or 50 million pounds for Noni Madueke over a 2-season spell. Yeah, I'll take that. And a lot of Chelsea fans are happy to see the back of him. I think Noni Madueke is very divisive within Chelsea fans, and a lot of fans have been on his back for a long time because he's infuriating to watch, very inconsistent. We know he can do better. And I agree. I see both sides of it. Like I said, I definitely agree with that from my point of view, but I also see the other side of it as well, with being a Noni Madueke fan to a degree. Right? It's frustrating watching him because you know he can do so much better. But like I said, over £50 million for him. See you later. I wish you all the best. Bye. And of course, Chelsea and Arsenal have got good relationships because, like I said, Arsenal come through, give us the bag for players we're happy to dispose of or get rid of or move on. And this is just another player that they do it with. Do you want Jackson? Arsenal, do you want Jackson? Because, he's a great player, a lot of potential. We could do a deal, We could do a deal. But anyway, I find it very interesting that Noni Madueke spoke about seeking a new challenge with hopes of regular football. So that, they've listed all the players, Delap, Gittins, Esteval, etc. And then Cuenda coming in next year. So was Madueke just scared of competition? The last 2 seasons not really had much competition. So is that a big issue for him? Because the way I see it, if he's going to Arsenal, Arteta has said he sees him as he can be a potentially world-class left winger. So he's going to be in rotation with Martinelli. potentially as like a regular football. I personally feel like Madueke has the skill level to knock Martinelli out of the squad, well, out of the starting 11. I feel like that could happen, yes. But if he wants to be playing on the right-hand side, he's not going to be knocking Saka out the starting 11, is he? Let's be real. He'll be a backup to Saka on that right-hand side. So I find this very interesting that Madueke being a key part of Chelsea's squad this season, because he's played a lot of games. He was the highest goal scorer and winger this season. His best return in GA overall this season as a player professionally. And he's like, yeah, it's too much competition, mate. I'm gonna go to Arsenal because I feel like I'll have a better chance of regular football. And I just found that strange because he doesn't strike me as the type of player to be sort of fearful of competition when he has the ego that he has and the attitude that he has. He backs himself a lot. I respect that in a player. You have to back yourself. But this just kind of gives the complete opposite. I want a new challenge because there's less competition and I want regular football. Now, I don't blame any professional footballer that wants regular football. It's literally their job. Every professional footballer wants to be the best they can be. They want to play as many games of football as possible. They have a very short career. So I don't, blame him for that. I just feel that, do you know what? I don't really care. I'm going to be honest. I don't really care. Noni Madueke has gone for over £50 million. I'm happy with that sort of price. I would have been happy to keep him. He obviously feels like he can't compete with the likes of Gittins, Esteval, Pedro, and Coenda coming in next season. He obviously feels like he's very low in that pecking order, and he's taking his chances at Arsenal. So see you later, Noni Madueke. Best of luck. Best of luck. That's all I can say. I've got no hard feelings with Noni. He's gone. We've got a good chunk of money for him. But hey, this saga is now, the chapter is closed. It's been ticked off. He is officially an Arsenal player. I very much doubt he will play in the final this Sunday because, well, why would Enzo Maresca want him part of a squad that he has no plans in the future for? But I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions down below regarding Noni Madueke. Are you happy that he has gone to Arsenal? He's finally left Chelsea. Are you happy with the amount that we secured for him? Considering Kudus went for 55 million, Elanga went for about 52 million. And I think we even saw Gibbs White going for 55 million. Madueke for a 52.5 all in. He is in and around that sort of fee. Are you happy with that? Do you think that Chelsea should have gone for more? Or would you have even sold him for less just to see the back of him? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments. Fabrizio Romano has reported breaking news. Be attentive to Nico Jackson's situation at Chelsea because I'm hearing there is a possibility between Chelsea and Jackson to part ways this summer. He goes on to report it's getting serious at Chelsea with Nicolas Jackson. There is interest from several clubs from the Premier League and also in Italy, with AC Milan is dreaming of Nicolas Jackson. At the moment, it is very expensive for Italian clubs in general. Matt Moretto reported that AC Milan today had new contacts to try and delve deeper into the financials. They are obsessed with Jackson. For Chelsea, Jackson is a player that can leave the club. Alfredo Pujula has reported that AC Milan is very interested in Nicolas Jackson and is continuing to explore Jackson with great interest, given his valuation of around £43 million and the club's relationship with Chelsea. Fabrizio Romano then finishes his report by saying Nicolas Jackson has concrete chances to leave Chelsea. Clubs in the Premier League and Italy are calling to find out the eventual conditions of the deal. One to watch. This is so interesting to me because, like I've said in many videos recently, the fan base are very split. Washing their hands with Jackson, still want to give him another chance. Me personally, I see what he brings to the team, what he brings, the dynamics, the hold-up play, etc. We know that his finishing is a big issue. However, the more I'm sitting on it, the more I'm looking at how this window is panning out, I would actually be quite happy if Nicolas Jackson is sold this summer. Because I look at João Pedro, I look at Delap, I look at Guiu having more potential if he doesn't go on loan, and even if he does, it's going to be a good development season for him. The way that Nicolas Jackson, his attitude, the way he's being portrayed, the way he looks overwhelmed and frustrated, and his recent performance where he's trying so hard to get back into it, I genuinely feel that he is out of his depth in terms of the competition with Delap and Pedro. That's just my thought. So if he was to go, I wouldn't be over the moon, but hey, if Chelsea want to sell him, I wouldn't be disappointed. Let's put it that way. Because I'm trying to be fair. I do like him as a player, but if he was to go, bye-bye, especially for £43 million, that is an £11 million profit on him for, a striker from 2 seasons ago, who I think has improved since the first day we signed him. Not massively, but he has improved since then till now. But to have a valuation of £43 million, if Chelsea can get him anywhere near that remotely, we are laughing to the bank. To sell Noni Madueke for 52.5 and then Jackson for 43 million, that is wild. I'd be all for it. And I do kind of feel sorry for Jackson to a degree, not completely, but to a degree, because I feel like he has brought this on himself with his attitude and his performances overall. But You can see that he does want to improve. You can see he wants to fight for the team. It's just not falling his way. It's just not been a very successful journey. It's very a rough ride for Jackson in a Chelsea shirt. And look, AC Milan, again, it's AC Milan. They valued Mike Maignan at, what, 25 million euros. Chelsea didn't want to go up for the extra couple of £1 million, but they want Jackson and they can't quite afford the £43 million valuation. So, does it make sense that Chelsea could do a deal with AC Milan here, where you can get Jackson one way, we could get Mike Maignan the other, and obviously money to change hands as well? Could that be a potential viable option? Now, I wouldn't say a straight swap, because I think that Jackson is worth more than Maignan, considering Jackson's got about 400 years left on his contract, and Mike Magnan's with his last 12 months. So, and obviously there's a big age gap and the different positions, so there's a lot of difference in valuation there for sure, so I wouldn't want a straight swap. All I am saying is, AC Milan and Chelsea could be doing some more business later on in the summer, whether it's separate deals that where one deal does one and the other deal is the other, and that overall it kind of makes everyone happy, or if it's a deal involving two players. We very rarely see that nowadays. You don't see swap deals, you don't really see anything like that anymore. It's usually one deal for this, one deal for that, back-to-back deals, if that makes sense. But I could potentially see something happening there. Like I mentioned before, you've had Napoli, Juventus, and now AC Milan all love the thought of Nicolas Jackson, and they, Serie A mustn't generate too much revenue. Now, I know that the Premier League generates a monstrous amount of revenue, which is why there's so much money thrown around in the Premier League. But we're constantly hearing that Italian clubs just can't afford the transfers, which is why they're trying to sell high and buy low. And I think that every club should be trying to do that anyway. You want the best for your club, right? It's a business at the end of the day as well as a football club. You've got to make sure the financials are running well. But I don't know, does the Serie A just not make money? Is that why these Italian clubs can't afford what we consider standard pricing in the Premier League of like 40 to 60 million? That's like I've said this many times, that's like a standard transfer nowadays. It's where the asking price and the market price is for a lot of players. Like I said, Elanga, Gibbs-White, Madueke, Kudos, it's all around that 50, 60 million mark, and that's kind of like the standard rate. So if Jackson's valued at £43 million, again, it's a lot of money, but in today's market value, it's considered a little bit less. If you say 50 million is like the market value, like bang on as the average, it's a little bit less, but if Serie A can't afford it, I think that Chelsea and AC Milan could definitely do a deal together. And I tell you what, if Chelsea go into that saying, look, you want Jackson, we want Mike, what can we do? And we manage to pull something off where Jackson goes one way, Mike comes to us, that would make us serious contenders for a lot of competitions next season, because we know that goalkeeping position needs improvement. At the moment, Chelsea are planning to go into the next season with Sanchez as number one and Jorgensen as a backup. There's also been a report, which I'll just throw away here rather than doing a separate segment on it, that Jorgensen turned down a loan move to Strasbourg for next season for development. He refused. He wants to stay at Chelsea and fight for his number one position, and I respect that. But that also goes to show what the Chelsea board are trying to do. They're offloading Petrovic, they're loaning out Penders, and the only reason they're loaning out Penders is because Jorgensen turned down a loan. So we're looking like we're going into next season with Sanchez as one, Jorgensen as two. So if there's any possibility that we can get Mike Maignan and Jackson goes the other way, and it makes a lot of financial sense, then please, Chelsea, go and do it, because we have an amazing number one coming in, and then Sanchez and Jorgensen can fight for that number one spot. But we now, as Chelsea fans, we can rest a little bit knowing that we have a very good goalkeeper in between the sticks that can play out from his feet and can actually make decent saves, and he can command his box, and he has the experience, and he's won things, and he's a captain. And that was a bit of a rant there, but we know that Sanchez has improved a little bit, of course, but again, there's a gulf in quality between Sanchez and Mike Maignan, in my opinion. But I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions down below regarding Nicolas Jackson. Are you one of the fans that have done with him? Do you want to see him go to AC Milan? Would you take £43 million for Jackson? Do you feel like there could potentially be a deal between AC Milan and Chelsea regarding Mike Maignan and Nicolas Jackson going opposite ways, with obviously money changing hands? I'm very curious to know your thoughts. And that's all of that is Chelsea news. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported down below in the comment section. I love having a conversation with you guys. And if you have watched this video all the way to the end, firstly, you're a real one, and I mean that, you're a real one. But secondly, there'll be a thumbnail appears on the screen. So if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content, make sure you click that thumbnail because you'll enjoy that video too.